Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go.
Midoriya being more confident in himself, he enters UA and he's looking around for his classroom, and he's lost a little until he stumbled across the door with the giant letters 1A over it. As Midoriya would say, well, this is a bit much. As he will open the door, and his anxiety is still there as he noticed everyone just looks at him as soon as he walks in. So in his head, he chooses, all right, I know being around Gohan and Vegeta, especially Vegeta, worked up my confidence, but geez, why think they all have to look at me like that? That's just awkward. As he would go and eventually have a seat, as someone would tap him on the shoulder, as he sees a girl he saved, Uraraka, as she would thank him for saving her once more. As Midoriya said, "Oh no, anybody would have done it if they was in my predicament. It's really no problem." As Koski would be looking at his head, how exactly did he make it here? As far as he knows, Midoriya don't have a court, and he got top marks on the entry exams, even breaking my records. He might have broke every record. That how? As just as he's about to ask Midoriya, someone gets up behind the desk and they're all a bit confused. Is this Cork some sort of caliper man? As they were all saying, of course not. He's just in a sleeping bag. As Ozawa first appearing, he would be like and say, "You're all quite annoying." As he would give everybody school uniforms or gym clothes, as he would tell all of them, "Go to the changing rooms over here. I don't really care. Put them on, and meet me outside in the field." As Uraraka would blurt out, "Wait, don't we have to go to orientation?" As Aizawa would say, "I don't really care for anything like that. You're in the hero course. You signs up to be good officers of the law, good heroes to save people. We don't have time to waste on meaningless things like that. Not only do we have to accounting your academics, we have only 3 short years, or if we want to be more accurate, 2 short years, if you evaluate in all of your academic work, to turn you into the perfect heroes that can actually take over for us. So we're not going to be wasting our time on things like that." As they will all meet them out there, as Aizawa will hand Midori a ball, as he says, "Hey, go all out. I want to see how far you can make it." As Midori would go right up into his full 15% of form for all, as he would toss the ball as hard as he can, and everyone is shocked as it was able to go over 7,000 meters, and even Aizawa himself is a bit shocked as he didn't think he gonna make it that far. As up next is Bakugo, and he only gets about 729 meters. As he's upset that he's not outdone by Midoriya, somebody who he perceived as quirkless for years, as Bakugo begins to think that Midoriya have been doing nothing but making fun of him. As the rest of the exams go through, and Midoriya is just getting top mark on all of them. The only one he having trouble with is speed, since Ida, at this point in time, is in fact still just a tiny bit faster than him. Midoriya is a bit annoyed that he didn't get first in that race, but he did in fact get first overall. With the person being last is actually Invisible Girl, but Aizawa would explain that he was never planning or expelling anyone whatsoever. He just wanted them all to try their best. As they're all finally surprised as the day ends up being over after they do finish the rest of their classes. As Midoriya and Uraraka begin to hang up, and Uraraka discovers that Midoriya is mad rich and he has his own company, knowing that her family's poor, Uraraka had asked for a part-time job so she can make a little money on the side for her family. As she would begin to explain a little about her life to Midoriya, as Midoriya being the kind-hearted person he is, he makes her his assistant, giving her a pretty decent salary. So even Uraraka money problems to solve in the timeline. As Midoriya also say, "Hey, what's your quirk?" As Uraraka would explain, it's gravity. She could make anything it basically float like it's in zero G's. As Midoriya say, "Well, that's impressive." As Midoriya say, "Hey, I need a sparring partner. I'm going to need a good training partner over here anyway." As he asked Uraraka if she wants to be it, since she's already his assistant slash bodyguard, really. As she would agree, and Deku takes her back to her place as Uraraka is shocked at the sheer size of Midoriya house as Uraraka asks, "How long have you had this?" "Only about a week." "A week? No, I mean it's been a couple. I had it for years. I lived here for most of my life." As she's put the put the week back behind in the back of her head, Midoriya began going over what her task would be as she sees this zero room, this giant room, and she asks what exactly is that thing? As Midoriya would say, "Well, it's a gravity trainer. I use it to training and get stronger, but I can barely go past two two G's. In fact, my body at the current moment can't even handle 2 G's. So it's really dangerous. But its max level is about 500." As she would explain to Midoriya, he would explain to Uraraka, "Hey, you may want to be careful just a little bit. If that thing explodes, it can create just a mini black hole that's powerful enough to wipe out the planet." As Uraraka would be in fear, but Midoriya would say it's probably nothing. As Midoriya would begin training with her, and she would be attempting to do it basically small levels of Master Roshi Turtle School training being taught to her by Midoriya, and her body can barely handle it. As Midoriya is essentially simulating the same training he did with Roshi with Uraraka to get her a little bit more stronger, since he knows she wants to be a rescue type hero, and he knows she's going to have a pretty strong physical body in order to do that. He began training her everything he learned from Master Roshi. Of course, he's not as good as a teacher, but he begins to explain to her little games like chi control. Of course, Uraraka, since she's had a quirk her whole life, she picks it up a lot. She's going to pick it up a lot faster than Deku, but since it's only, of course, been a day, she doesn't pick it up right now. But in just about 2 or 3 months' times, as the school year is going on, I do have believe she would in fact be able to pick it up. As their first actual test comes along, since it has been a couple months since they've been training together, and Uraraka have even been able to get to a power level of just about 20. As Midoriya says where he is at 75, since he haven't really had to express himself. Even though he's been training, he's beginning to get low relative amounts, low amounts of progressive, as he's a bit annoyed at that. But he did gain greater mastery over his quirk, basically being able to turn it on and off again without straining to his even more strain to his body, and it conserves energy, and it even conserves ki. As Uraraka have also been able to pick it up, and she was even able to she was even able to fix the debt with the money she earned from working for Midoriya, since Midoriya is in fact pretty generous with salaries. She is able to pay off her family debts, and Midoriya even gives them a contract about building new factories to produce flying cars for construction, as well as producing new training facilities, as well as warehouses in order to store things. So Uraraka is like their family's not loaded here because of Midoriya. Also, as they did grow a bit closer, becoming mad close friends, and as Midoriya even asked Uraraka out, as she would agree, and they kindled a small relationship here. Of course, they're only like 15 years old, so it's nothing serious. It's more like in a puppy love phase. But that's more than they had in canon. Jeez. As they're in class one day, All Might become bursting in the room as as he would explain their first actual exam. And to simplify it, All Might calls it heroes versus villains, a ultimate game of hide and seek. As he would be going over the rules of this event, as he also hands out hero costumes. With Midoriya hero costume not only being a gift from his mother, he also incorporates elements from the Turtle School in it, since he did have a gift when he came home, and his mother essentially created him a mixture of the Turtle Turtle School Z and elements from All Might costume. As All Might would enjoy it as he sees the symbol of it, as it incorporates the hoodie, but he doesn't have sleeves anymore. But he does have small leg braces and arm braces in order to handle the strain from overall. As the first fight would as the day go by and the first fight would actually begin, which is ironically Midoriya teams up first. As of course he's teamed up with Uraraka and he's going against Ida and Bakugo. As Midori would explain to Uraraka, well, Bakugo is a bit predictable. He's going to come right towards me, so you could just fly out. As at this point, Uraraka does have small levels of flight, but using her body using geogravity, she's able to jump up, having a power level of feeling. She's able to simply jump up and scale the building from the outside. As Midoriya goes in, and he faces off against Bakugo, and even without using one for all, he's arguably he's arguably able to beat Bakugo like it's nothing. Although his power level is low in terms of Dragon Ball standards, at Dragon Ball 75 could take you very far in the UA. But just to simplify things, I'm going to say at this point, Bakugo still Bakugo Midoriya would still needs to use one for all to put up a fight against Bakugo. In base, he's able to put up a fight. But I'm going to say in order to beat Bakugo, he is still going to need to be able to actually beat Bakugo 1-on-1 using about 15%, just like in canon. As they would begin facing off, and Bakugo is going all out, as well as Midoriya, as Midoriya is actually having a bit of fun here, since he's never been able to fight simply for training, fight someone on about his level, and he finally sees himself as an equal to Bakugo, and Midoriya is actually able to win. Of course, he was already destined and winning from the beginning, but Midoriya is able to pull off a win here, and Uraraka using her court to make herself lighter since he's already mad fast. She's able to run past Ida as he's not paying attention and he wasn't expecting her to be able to move that fast as he clicks the weight. As she gets the nuclear bomb, they would actually pass their first test. With I don't see a reason for the rest of the matches to change from what they are in canon, which them still having that small incident because Shigaraki still destroyed the gate in front of the building as he left nothing but ashes. And Ida is still elected class rep. and they have a little bit of downtime, at least a couple weeks before the USA, and Uraraka and Midoriya spends that time training together. As Midoriya have been able to go over this past couple months, he's been able to go from a power level of 75 to just about to to just about 85 as Uraraka was able to go from 20, since she have a way powerful training partner and she wants to get stronger for Midoriya. I'm going to say she's able to reach a power level of just about 35. As Midoriya would try using two gravities and it's still intense, as I'm going to say he and Uraraka, with Uraraka letting to lessen the strain on their body, they could go about 1.5 times the normal gravity of Earth, which is why they were able to get that much stronger. And it's quite efficient. Even All Might is able to get stronger, but All Might knows his power is fading. As he asks Midoriya, can he take them to that universe he was at? As Midoriya would agree, as he creates a portal or open it, as Uraraka is there, as Midoriya would explain everything to her, since he could see himself marrying her in the future. They're in game, by the way, in this what if. And they go to the Dragon Ball, go to the Dragon Ball Earth around the weekend, and the events of the Blue Saga, I'm going to say they just happened there, but the events of the Blue Saga, I'm going to say they just happened there. And they're in about the full year time skip now, with Gohan grad, just being about graduating high school now. As they, as Midoriya says, "Hey, I'm sorry I haven't been able to visit much. I just had a lot going on." As they will all be excited to meet, as Midoriya finally meets Goku, and Midoriya Midoriya also meets Vidal's Gohan wife. As Gohan would ask if this is if Uraraka is his girlfriend, and of course Midoriya would say yes. But Midoriya came here for business and for catch up with old friends. He asked us, "Is there a way for All Might to train to get stronger?" As Goku would keep an eye on this, as Goku said, "Of course there is the hyperbolic time chamber." As Mido- as All Might would ask Goku, since he knows he's the strongest, if he can train him. But we only have about 2 days here. Is there anything you can do? As Goku would say, of course, as he takes All Might to the room of Spirit of Time, and All Might, since he have a power level, I'm going to say you need at least a power level of 300. All Might have the will and the body in order to handle it, but no, I am not having either Uraraka nor Midoriya go into the time chamber. That is way too much, and it's going to make him too overpowered way too fast. But for someone like All Might, since One for All is fading, it is going to be useful for him if he wants to be a hero for at least a little bit. If he wants to be a hero for at least a little bit longer, as the day would go by, and All Might would have came out with a pretty decent hold, pretty decent hold on Chi, as he's been able to simulate One for All without using the court. And I'm going to say his base power level without, and the only reason his power level was so high was because of One for All. But I'm going to say his base power level right now is around 150 to one. It's around 150 to maybe even 200. With One for All making it that 500 is 600 range. Since I'm treating it as a multiplier here, and all my base power level is around 150 to 200, maybe even 250 at max. As Midoriya and Uraraka both know they're going to have to try their best and work hard to surpass to surpass um to surpass All Might. As they would eventually say their goodbyes once more, and Midoriya will eventually go back to his Earth.